Hey, welcome back everyone. Cameron here. Today's video will consist of how to draw a 3/4 view of the male torso using charcoal. I'll explain my approach in the simplest way possible. Feel free to pause the video at any point if I happen to go too fast. I hope this tutorial helps you as well as supports you on your art journey. Feel free to let me know in the comments below what else you guys would like to see additional videos on, and if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Your support is greatly appreciated, and now let's get to the video. Okay, so to start out, we want to begin by making 3 shapes, starting with the rectangle for the upper torso, and then the midsection for the abdomen, and lastly the pelvis area for the bottom of the torso. And for the pelvis area, we're going to do somewhat of a different approach by making the shape similar to either boxer briefs or underwear. Next, we're going to add in our center line. Then we'll add in a rib cage line along with a neck opening on the top of the rectangle. And then we'll add in the clavicle slash collarbone underneath as well. Next, we're going to add in a shape for the chest, and it just sits slightly higher than the rib cage line. And then here we'll add in the belly button. Next, we're going to add a cylinder for the neck along with with adding the traps from behind, which will connect to the rear of the shoulders. And the neck should be at a slight tilt, so it's coming outward towards the right. And then next we'll add in the shoulders. And the right shoulder is going to be slightly smaller than the left, since we don't see the full shoulder from this angle. And then from here we're going to start adding in the abdominal muscles. And for the abdomen muscles, you should have a total of 3 rows that go down along the midsection of the torso once done. And then from here, we'll flush out the outer border of the latissimus dorsi and oblique muscles. Along with the lower half of the abdomen. And then going back up to the shoulders, we'll add in the hem of the arms, which will also close off at the end. And then from here we can take our finger or shading tool and then start softening up our lines for preparation of adding in tone. So the majority of the tone is probably going to be underneath the latissimus dorsi and then the chest, the crease of the chest, and probably the abdomen. We'll add in a little bit on the right side as well. And the neck will have a shadow as well due to the fact that the chin kind of comes over the neck, so that's why that shadow is there, just as a quick note. And then going back, we can start erasing any unneeded marks or construction lines. And then once done, we can start refining our outer border by adding in some heavier line weight. And as a quick note, only move on to this step if you're fully satisfied with your shapes and your form, since it'll be harder to erase any mistakes later on. And as we start to add heavier line weight on our outer border, we can also start to gradually add in our contrast and tone in areas where needed, and forming some of our inner forms. This is what's going to pretty much give our overall drawing a bit more dimension and depth. And you also want to keep in mind, like, if you want something to really pop in a certain area, think of it as whatever is closest to you, the darkest. That way, whatever's like farther from you, that'll have more of a either a faded look, or the line weight won't be as heavy, if that makes sense. So for instance, with the right arm, you would make that pretty much lighter than the left, since that's farther from us. And where I'm adding contrast right here currently, you could probably make it more darker than usual, and then that would give it some more like dimension, if that makes sense. So in this case, this particular drawing, our darkest area is going to end up being the inner portion of the latissimus dorsi, along with the inner crease of the chest. It would also work out as if it was lighting. If it was a lighting example, you pretty much would have the light, maybe, for example, hitting the right side. So everything on the left would pretty much have more of a cast shadow. Even the abdomen would probably have like a subtle, not as heavy as maybe where the tone is for the latissimus dorsi is, but it would still have a soft, maybe lighter tone than that area within the latissimus dorsi and the chest. And then here I'm currently just refining some of the outer borders even more, so the forms are kind of locked in. And where you see that bottom part of the oblique on the right side, you want to make sure that the second row of the abdomen, or excuse me, the third row, is kind of sitting on top. Since this is a 3/4 view, you won't see much of the obliques on that side, so keep that in mind. And then right here, we can just start refining more of the rib cage and giving subtle hints that there's something there. So as you see here, like I said before, earlier, if this was lit, this is basically all I pretty would shade or add tone to, as far as like the abdomen segment of the torso. And then the middle portion of the abdomen would probably be a little lighter. So keep that in mind. If you ever would want to add sort of like a lighting source to your drawings. And I'll have some future videos on that as well, so don't worry. And normally, for the abdomen, you wouldn't really draw too harsh of like dark lines to give it to make them visible, if that makes sense. But it would be more of a softer tone. But this is basically just to give you an idea of like placement of certain muscle groups, so you're able to see them clearly. So if that makes sense. So yeah, keep that in mind. And then right here, we're pretty much refining more of the chest and fleshing out more. And if it helps, you want to think of it when adding your tones in, you want to think of a more gradual approach rather than full-on dark shapes, to give it a little bit of a better understanding. And don't be afraid to like use your eraser as well to even draw in some of your shapes as well, like your forms. You want to also think of your erasers more like a second drawing tool from your pencil, since that's how I use it. But everyone has their different approaches. But I find that it's more of a drawing tool rather than it taking away from the drawing. And right here, we're kind of adding in a little bit more of the hint of the rib cage. And that is our video. I hope this was helpful for you, and take care, everyone.